Welcome to Pro Wrestling with Juice. We have been watching a lot of AEW, a lot of NXT lately. Not watching Raw, not watching SmackDown much. And I gotta say, I love AEW. NXT has been really good, but AEW for me is a home run. Now, NXT has been bringing in some big names on their show, with the build up to Survivor Series and things like that. And that's cool. It's really made NXT a little bit better. However, NXT is still lacking for me. They still do a good job with their matches and all of that, but I don't feel like they're building up anybody new. Like Keith Lee did a lot of cool stuff at Survivor Series and started to get over, but it just doesn't feel like they're using their whole roster, whereas AEW I think is, and they're cycling people in and out, and I like AEW Dark. In fact, AEW Dark is really cool to watch with some of the people that they use there. For instance, Brandon Cutler's on tonight's show, and I'm a fan of his. I kind of like seeing what's going on there. He's very athletic, does a lot of cool moves. Being a D&D nerd myself, I gravitate to him. Now, the new group that came out last week. I didn't watch AEW last week, unfortunately. Still haven't caught that. I need to try and watch that today. But I've seen the attack on Cody with Allie. Brilliant storytelling, in my opinion. Makes perfect sense with how Cody's wife attacked Allie. Now she brought this new faction out. Rumors are that Marty Scurll will be the leader. I believe his contract came up yesterday with ROH. I hope he goes to AEW. I know everyone's talking about AEW or NXT. There's still a chance he could end up in NWA with his friendship with Nick Aldis. But I would rather see him end up in AEW with a feud with all of the guys from the Elite. Maybe it starts with Cody and, moves through the rest of the guys. I would like to see Brian Cage end up in AEW. I think that would be pretty awesome. Tessa Blanchard. Again, I actually think Tessa Blanchard would be cool to show up in AEW as Shawn Spears' muscle, helping him. Tully Blanchard, Tessa Blanchard, and then Shawn Spears. I think that would be a cool little faction. And let her wrestle the guys. Why not? I think that would be great. And, there's some girls that Tessa could, wrestle in the women's division. Her versus Karma would be cool. Her versus Nyla Rose. Get the belt on her. But the women's belt is so tiny. I kind of hate that they made it that tiny. It really bothers me. But, to me, AEW does a better job developing characters and getting people over. They do a better job, I think, from the storytelling aspect. Their matches aren't as good as NXT. I'll admit it there. Most of their matches are not as good. However, the matches at the top of the card, and when they give the guys some time to do their things, I do enjoy them a lot. But I think there's a talent gap. You've got some great wrestlers in AEW, really athletic ones. Some of them are a little green, a little young, but I like them. I like the character development. I like that they're able to be creative and do the things that I think they're good at. And it doesn't feel like any of them are held back, so I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, to me, AEW is where it's at. I want to see Marty end up there. If Marty ends up there, I think things can get really interesting. You'll have the Inner Circle faction. You have the Elite, who are they're a faction, but they're not really acting like one. They sometimes work together, but mostly are on their own. And then you would have, the villain faction, right? Which I like. I liked those two guys. It's very old school feeling with those guys. And that's what I think AEW does well. It feels like an old school promotion with some modern influences. It's a lot of what I liked about WCW in the mid 90s to late 90s, where you had like the cruiserweights doing their thing. You had the veterans who did their thing, but you had young guys who weren't quite cruiserweights who were doing some awesome stuff. It's just a good mixture of styles, and you don't get that anywhere else. So I'm liking all of that. The other day I saw something from New Japan Pro Wrestling that they're open to working with anyone, including AEW, if it seems to fit brand-wise or something. So that was interesting. I wonder, with Wrestle Kingdom coming up, if maybe we'll see something there. I know there's talk that maybe the whole Inner Circle will end up in New Japan for Wrestle Kingdom for Chris Jericho's match. I would love that. I would love to see a Bullet Club feud with AEW guys. I think that would be great. Or just an AEW invasion of New Japan would be cool. Now, I know there was things with like Kenny Omega not being able to travel to Japan, supposedly his cousin New Japan. I don't know. And I know it sounded like there was some bad blood between Kenny and New Japan over that. It also sounded like the Young Bucks had some problems with that. So I don't know what's going to come of that. I know that Moxley and Chris Jericho are still going to work in New Japan, as they've said as much. And so, yeah. But again, I'm still holding out hope that AEW and New Japan will work together. And, whatever happens with Ring of Honor, I don't even care. I'd like to eventually see Flip Gordon end up in AEW. And beyond Flip and Marty and Brian Cage and Tessa Blanchard, I don't care who ends up in AEW. Those four, for me, are what I really, really want to see. So that's just my thoughts on things right now as of December 3rd, 2018. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm really marking out big for AEW. I think they're doing everything right. They're growing. I think, well, more people know who they are, obviously. And I think, obviously they've dipped a little in the ratings a bit, but I think NXT has done a lot over the last few weeks to really fight for viewers. I think AEW has made a couple little mistakes here and there that have hurt them with, casual fans. But for the most part, I still think AEW is a great show to watch as a wrestling fan. So that's it. This was Pro Wrestling Talk with Juice, and I will see you guys next time.